This is video A11, all about addition, and hopefully I won't have my squeaky pen that I had for the last couple of videos. Okay, moving on. Let's start with some simple ones. These are where you have the same columns for both numbers. So for example, in this example, you've got thousands, hundreds, tens and units. So it's really easy to line them up. You've got to make sure the columns are actually lined up. So starting with units, 1 and 3 would give you 4. 3 add 9 would give you 12, so we can put the 2 there and carry the 1 across because we've made 10 tens, or 12 tens, but 10 of those tens can be moved across to make an extra 100. Our 2 tens goes in the tens column here. Going on to the hundreds, 7 and 7, 700 and 700 would make 1400s. Add 1 down here would give you 1500, so your 5 goes there, and your 1 goes here because your 10 hundreds that you've made can be translated into 1,000. And lastly, the thousands column, 2 add 4 add 1 would give you 7. So putting our comma in, if we start at this end here, we move backwards 1, 2, 3 places, that helps us to read the number out, 7,524. For the next one, slightly harder. We've got different columns in each number, though there's no decimals yet, so it's not too challenging at the moment. So I've written down my first number, 279. To write down 1,428, it would be a very easy mistake to write it like this. But that 1 is not worth 100, it's worth 1,000. So I'm going to rub that off and put it in the correct place. Our 1 would have to go into this new column, which would be our thousands column. Then we've got 4 and a 2 and an 8. 1,400, the 2 means 20 and the 8 is just 8 units. Again, adding up, here we go. Start with the units. Always start with the column on the right hand side. 9 and 8 makes 17, so I place my 7 there, and my 1 is a 10 that I've made from 10 units. Adding up my tens, I've got 7 tens, 2 tens, and the 1 10 underneath will give me 10 tens. My 0 goes here, and I carry my 1 to make 100. Then in my hundreds, I've got 200s, 400s, and 100, which gives me 700s. And then in the thousands, I've just got 1,000. So putting in my comma, 3 columns back, I've got 1,707. Slightly harder when you're dealing with decimals, though, to be honest, this one is just as easy as the first one that we tried. 36.12 is our first number. We've got 47.29. Now this is good because we've got 2 columns on the left of the decimal point and 2 columns on the right. So all I have to do for my second number is put my decimal point. My 47 will go there, and my 29 would go here. And then adding again. First thing I'm going to do is put my decimal point in so I don't accidentally forget it later, as that could have catastrophic effect on the answers. Okay, 2 add 9 in this hundredths column would give me 11, so there's 100th, and I've actually made a 10 that can go there. This is my tenths column, so 1 tenth and 2 tenths, and the 1 tenth underneath would give me 4 tenths. Moving on to my units. 6 and 7 units makes 13 units. There's my 3, and I've made a 10 which can go over here. And then in my tens column, 3 and 4 add 1 would give me 8. So 83.41. Remember to put in that decimal point before you start, because if you miss it, you will get an answer of 8,341. Very wrong. Next, the hardest ones, let's call them the stinky rat bags. Here, these are the ones where you have decimals, but they've got different columns in each number. I've written the first number down for you, 395.127, but the second one's slightly different. It's tempting to do this, 1461.3, but then your decimal points are not lined up, so you can't proceed with the sum. You've got to make sure the decimals are lined up. So, rubber out, let's get rid of that, and start that second number again. Okay, my 1,000, well that's going to have to go in a new column here. 461. There's my decimal point in line with all of these others here. And then I've got my 0.3. Now we've got empty boxes, so I'm just going to put a 0 in. We call those placeholders. I could even put a 0 up here if I wanted to. Here we go, adding up. So those placeholders don't affect the overall value of that number. They just fill in a space so that it's not empty. Here we go, let's pop our decimal point in first of all. Starting with the thousandths column, 7 and 0 will give us 7 thousandths. 2 and 0 in the hundredths will give us 2 hundredths. In the tenths, we've got 1 tenth and 3 tenths, which gives us 4 tenths. This is a nice easy one. In the units, we've got 5 units and 1 unit, which gives us 6 units. In the tens, getting a bit harder now, 9 add 6 would give us 15, so I place my 5 there, and I carry over the extra 10 that I've made to the, the extra 100 I've made to the hundreds column. Adding up my hundreds, 3 add 4 add 1 would give me 8, and then in the thousands, I've just got 1 there. So my answer, I can still put my comma in here. Oh, hang on. 1,856.427.